If you come across a well in Portugal, resist the temptation to gaze into its depths. The inverted tower in the enigmatic city of Sintra sends chills through those who encounter it as it spirals down a daunting 88 feet into the underground. It certainly wasn't designed to collect water, yet its true purpose remains a closely guarded secret. Dating back to around 1904, this well could have been involved in a mysterious initiation tradition from the Knights Templar. The Templars had faded into history almost 6 centuries before the construction of this pit, but their enigmatic traditions were revived by later generations. So one theory says that candidates seeking to join the group back then had to confront their deepest fears by facing this well, descending its spiral staircase blindfolded. When they reached the bottom of the inverted tower, they removed their blindfolds and were faced with this frightening sight. The only way out of this dark labyrinth was to keep looking up and following the light. Now imagine yourself browsing the shelves of a used bookstore until you find a book with an alphabet you've never seen before. You decide to use an image translation app but find no matches. Intrigued, you buy the book. Then you show it to your friends and family, but nobody recognizes that alphabet. Rare book dealer Winfried Vonnig probably experienced the same frustration back in 1912, when he acquired what would later become the most enigmatic book in the world. The work is known today as the Voynich manuscript, and it's written entirely in an unknown language that no one has deciphered yet. The pages of this 15th century codex are filled with botanical drawings, but these aren't typical daisies or roses. In fact, they don't resemble any plant species that we know of. What makes things even stranger is the illustrations of unfamiliar constellations and women swimming in green baths. Delving deeper into the realm of mysterious texts, we set off on a journey to the Qumran Caves near the Salt Sea in the Middle East. In 1952, a team of archaeologists stumbled upon 2 scrolls made of highly oxidized copper at the site. Unrolling them was a major challenge, so they decided to cut the scrolls into 23 parts to investigate them. Imagine their surprise to see Hebrew words like gold and silver popping up. But no, it wasn't an ancient invoice. It was more like a treasure map, pointing the way to over $1 million. Unfortunately, the treasure was never found. Not for lack of trying, though. You see, the quest isn't as easy as it may appear. Some of the copper scroll's vocabulary is technical, and some geographical locations remain a mystery. There's also one last possibility. Perhaps it's all a work of fiction, like a pirate tale from the old days. People talk about Mona Lisa's almost haunting stare that seems to follow you no matter where you stand. But here's a quick question. Does she have eyebrows? You got it right if you said no, and her complete lack of eyebrows adds another layer of mystique to her gaze. The most common explanation is that beauty standards were different, and perhaps plucking the hairs above the eyes was a thing around 1503. But take a look at other Italian paintings from that time, like La Schiavona or Portrait of a Young Girl. Yep, eyebrows. So, not everyone was entirely pleased with this theory, like French inventor Pascal Cotte. He spent 3,000 hours analyzing scans of the painting to dig through all the layers of Leonardo da Vinci's masterpiece. Now he claims that the Mona Lisa once had eyebrows, but they disappeared over time due to cleanings and restorations. Some historians, however, still question his findings, which means that Mona Lisa's style, or lack of it, remains an unsolved mystery. So, you decide to travel to Rio de Janeiro, and everyone tells you that Sugarloaf Mountain is a must-see. When you spot the mountain from a distance, you realize that the stone has a cavity. But around noon, the whole view changes. The shadow in that cavity takes the shape of a bird, an ibis to be precise. A local legend links this bird shape to the ancient Egyptian deity Thoth, as if the ancient Egyptians once visited Rio de Janeiro and were somehow inspired by the natural phenomenon. But it's probably just a big coincidence. I mean, literally. The real mystery, however, lies in the waters around Sugarloaf Mountain. In the 80s, archaeologist Robert Marks got a tip from locals about a treasure hidden beneath Guanabara Bay. He dove in and found quite a few Roman amphorae, those ancient vases with two handles. His discovery could potentially provide evidence of a Roman shipwreck that might have reached Brazil 17 centuries before the Portuguese even set foot there. However, he couldn't proceed with his research, and to this day, the idea of the Roman presence on Brazil's coast remains uncertain. The true location of Cleopatra's tomb isn't the only ancient Egyptian mystery. Many secrets are carved into the walls of ancient structures, like in the Temple of Seti I. Take a close look at this hieroglyph, and you'll notice that it resembles a modern-day helicopter. Look to the right, and you'll see an engraving that looks like a submarine. Odd, right? The most reasonable explanation for this has to do with the legacies of different rulers. When a new pharaoh came to power, they had their own hieroglyphs added over the original ones. But this is still a topic of debate, as some Egyptologists believe that these mysterious hieroglyphs may represent some kind of ancient technology. The same applies to the Dendera light. The image found in the underground passageway of the Hathor Temple is a subject of significant controversy in Egyptian history. Some researchers suggest that the inscription simply represents a rising sun, while others interpret it as evidence of some kind of modern lighting system. And it does indeed resemble Crookes' tube, one of the early experiments with electrical discharges. Although there's no concrete evidence of ancient Egyptians having modern electricity, some historians believe that this theory could help explain why many discovered tombs don't have any residues left behind from the use of oil lamps or candles. A lot has been said about the mysterious pyramids of Egypt, but many people tend to forget that other inexplicable structures had already existed even before them. Our next stop takes us to Turkey. The top of a hill known as Gobekli Tepe, near the city of Urfa, holds an ancient secret. It features more than 20 circular stone enclosures dated back over 11,000 years. Many of these have heavily carved stone T-shaped pillars adorned with eerie human figures with folded hands. The most accepted theory is that it's the world's first temple, likely used for rituals or social events. But the greatest mystery lies in how it was built, as this site existed before the domestication of animals or the use of metal tools. So the construction must have been very difficult, challenging our understanding of the historical timeline. Now, I hope you're not afraid of heights, because we're about to take a flight over the Nazca lines. You've probably already heard about these massive mysterious drawings etched into an arid region of Peru. They come in many different shapes, like a spider, a monkey, and even a Google-eyed ET that is probably just a fisher. Anyway, this story got some fresh chapters in 2022 when an additional 168 new drawings were discovered. The original ones could only be seen from the air, but these new ones are much smaller and can be observed from the ground. However, one thing they have in common is that their purpose remains totally unclear. Some might call them the largest-scale calendar in the world. Others suggest that they served as a tool for agricultural purposes. Of course, many theories have emerged in an attempt to give the Nazca lines a meaning, but the truth is that they remain some of the most important unsolved mysteries in history.
Look at these two identical diamonds. You won't see the difference with the unaided eye, yet your credit card will surely notice it. On the left, it's a 0.9 carat diamond that will cost you somewhere around $5,000. And on the right, you can see a 1 carat diamond with the price starting at $8,000. The difference is only about 0.02 grams, but the price changes a lot. And both of them are tiny, just around 6 millimeters in diameter. Yeah, a carat is not that much. It's a unit of mass that equals 200 milligrams. As for the biggest diamond ever found, It's 3,106 carats and weighs over 600 grams. An average orange weighs about 140 grams, so this diamond is like 4 oranges. It's called the Cullinan diamond, and it was found in South Africa in 1905. It got its name after the name of the mine it was found in. You can't see its full version these days as it was cut into several pieces. In total, it was divided into 9 larger stones and a whole bunch of smaller ones. In early 1905, the cutting of the Cullinan diamond was entrusted to diamond expert Joseph Asher, the head of the Asher Diamond Company in Amsterdam. A team consisting of 3 specialists dedicated 8 months to the task of transforming the large diamond into smaller gemstones, beginning their work in February that year. Initially, the monumental stone was divided into 7 pieces, which were further cut to create 9 large stones, each named Cullinan with a corresponding Roman numeral from 1 to 9. During the first attempt at cutting the Cullinan diamond, Joseph Asher broke the cleaving knife, which had taken 4 days to prepare, without causing any damage to the diamond. A new cleaving knife was then used for the second blow, resulting in the diamond being split into 2 pieces. The discovery of the largest gem-quality rough diamond sparked speculation and a sense of mystery, with some suggesting that the Cullinan diamond was merely a fragment of a much larger diamond. There were claims that 4 magnificent pieces had been broken off from a larger stone. Despite much discussion and speculation about the origin of the Cullinan diamond, no concrete evidence emerged to support these theories. But is the Cullinan diamond really the biggest diamond ever found? Well, the answer is yes and no at the same time. The thing is, until faceted, the diamond isn't as magnificent as you might think. So yes, it is indeed the biggest one, but nobody really could handle a 600-gram faceted diamond. Such a giant couldn't really adorn anything. The Golden Jubilee diamond, weighing around 545 carats, which is about 109 grams, is known as the largest cut and faceted diamond globally, surpassing the Cullinan diamond by 15.37 carats, or 3.07 grams. It was discovered in 1985 at the Premier Mine in South Africa, which is also the birthplace of many famous diamonds, like the original Cullinan. The Golden Jubilee diamond was originally referred to as the unnamed brown. The cutting and polishing of the diamond presented challenges due to its size, surface, deep cracks, and inclusions. De Beers utilized new cutting technologies for the project, which were later applied during the cutting of the Centenary diamond. After extensive work to reduce the diamond's weight, it was completed in 1990 in a fire rose cushion shape. The diamond was then brought to Thailand for exhibition and later purchased by Thai business people in 1995. It was given to King Bhumibol as a gift for his 50th anniversary on the throne and named the Golden Jubilee. The Golden Jubilee diamond is currently showcased in the Royal Museum at Phimmamak Golden Temple Throne Hall in Bangkok as part of the crown jewels. One day, nearly 18 years ago, a Filipino fisherman discovered a 2-foot-long pearl inside a giant clam in the waters near Palawan Island, the Philippines. He decided to keep it as a good luck charm, hiding it under his bed. Unfortunately, his home burned down, but miraculously, the 75-pound pearl survived. Officials in the Philippines have confirmed that the pearl measures 26 inches in length and 12 inches in width and is valued at $100 million. This incredible discovery surpasses the current record holder for the largest known pearl, the Pearl of Lao Tzu, which is valued at $35 million and weighs less than 15 pounds. The Pearl of Lao Tzu was also found off the coast of Palawan in 1934 and is currently displayed at Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum in New York. The Bahia Emerald is known for being one of the largest emeralds ever discovered, with the largest single shard found within it. It weighs approximately 752 pounds and originates from Bahia, Brazil. The gemstone narrowly avoided flooding during Hurricane Katrina in 2005 while being stored in a warehouse in New Orleans. An ownership dispute arose after the emerald was reported stolen in September 2008 from a secured vault in South El Monte in Los Angeles County, California. However, the emerald was eventually located and the case was brought to a settlement. Although the gemstone has been estimated to be worth around $400 million, its true value is still uncertain. A couple of years ago, a Sri Lankan gem company reported the discovery of what they claimed to be the world's largest single natural blue sapphire, weighing 683 pounds. Let's see what jewelry you could make from this behemoth stone. A blue sapphire with such a gigantic weight could be turned into 1,549,016 1-carat stones adorning engagement rings. The owners intended to auction off this gemstone after it had been officially valued. The Gemological Institute in Ratnapura, which initially owned the gem, declined an offer of more than $1 million from a potential Middle Eastern buyer. They estimated that the gem's real value was around $100 million. The discovery of the El Dorado rough topaz in 1984 in Minas Gerais, Brazil, was a significant event, with the rough stone weighing an impressive 81 pounds. However, after being cut and polished, the finished gemstone ended up weighing only 13.6 pounds, resulting in a loss of 83% of the original weight. This drastic reduction in weight was primarily due to the removal of non-gem quality material from the rough stone in order to create a high-quality product with an excellent cut, color, and clarity. The final product was a stunning faceted topaz with a perfect emerald cut, good clarity, and a desirable yellowish-brown color. Weighing 31,000 carats, the finished stone became the largest faceted topaz and gemstone in the world. The name El Dorado has since been used metaphorically to describe a place where wealth can be quickly attained. Additionally, it's been associated with El Dorado County in California and various other towns and cities across the United States. The term has also come to symbolize something highly sought after, though it may be elusive or never found. A ruby weighing 55.22 carats was recently sold at auction for a record-breaking $34.8 million. Making it the largest and most expensive ruby to be sold this way. The gem was discovered in Mozambique and named Estrela de Fura, which means Star of Fura in Portuguese. Sotheby's, the auction house that handled the sale, described the ruby as extremely rare and significant in the world of gemstones. While diamonds typically dominate record gemstone sales, rubies are also highly prized for their rarity and value. The previous record for a ruby sold at auction was set by the Sunrise Ruby in 2015. It's a 25.59 carat stone from Myanmar that fetched $30.3 million. Estrela de Fura was originally a 101 carat rough stone, making it the largest gem-quality ruby ever found. It was carefully cut and polished to enhance its color and brilliance before being put up for auction.
It all happened in 1708. On June 8th, the Spanish galleon San Jose was going back home to Spain from the Caribbean. In total, there were 17 ships. The captain of the San Jose knew they were in for some trouble, as English ships were lurking in that area. He knew they would be after the treasure loaded on the ships. The price of the treasure from the New World was so astronomical that it could turn the course of historic events in Europe upside down. In order to be safe, the Spanish galleon was to reach Cartagena de Indias. It's where we have Colombia now. But sadly, other things were predestined for the San Jose. The 4 English ships appeared. The galleon couldn't just escape them. There was no choice but to turn around and fight. Then all the chaos started. Red flags showing that the battle started. Firing cannons, the smell of gunpowder. Nobody knows exactly how it all ended. As dusk fell, it was hard to see clearly what was happening. The only thing that remained in history was the sinking flagship San Jose. Then, silence. No wonder that San Jose, being the flagship, was the most strategically important galleon. She would carry an insane amount of precious metals, such as gold and silver, pearls, and gems, such as emeralds. All of that went to stay on the bottom of the ocean for the next 3 centuries. But how come this lost treasure got so legendary? First off, the financial estimates made by scientists shocked people. The ship reportedly carried 7 million to 12 million pesos. Let's translate that to today's money. Yeah, it may not be the wealth that Elon Musk has, but it's around $10 billion. With that money, you could treat yourself to a couple of private jets, a whole car park of Lamborghinis, and a posh mansion. And you'd still have a lot of money left. You may think it all must have gotten rusty, just like the bits and pieces found in the Titanic. But when it comes to gold, things work differently. The Titanic didn't carry gold, or at least not that much of it. The jewels that were on the Titanic were personal belongings. And the cool thing about gold is that it never reacts with oxygen. It means that real gold won't rust or tarnish. So if your golden necklace got somewhat darker, it's a telltale sign it's not pure gold. It's an alloy, which is also cool, by the way, as you can easily clean it. Going back to San Jose's lost treasure, the golden coins there, even over 300 years later, were supposed to look the same way as the day they were minted. Now, going back to the place where the ship supposedly sank, remember I told you the captain wanted to go to the shore where Colombia is today? Well, on December 4th, 2015, the ship was indeed found in the waters of Colombia. As with many other important things today, the world learned about it from a tweet. It was sent by the Colombian then-president Juan Manuel Santos. People have been looking for the San Jose for decades, and once it was finally found, it only got more popular, and even more myths about it began to appear. One of the legends was told by Señor Santos himself. After the wreck had been found, there was a short radio interview. Thing is, the discovery was pretty unexpected. Many people spent a lot of time and effort looking for that wreck, and many of them even gave up hope of ever finding it. Juan Manuel Santos told a story about how the wreck had been discovered. There was an official event outside Colombia where he was accosted by a man. He looked like the famous writer Hemingway. He sported a white beard and had white hair. The only thing that Hemingway-looking man wanted was 2 minutes of Santos's time. The president conceded and listened to the man. What happened next was unbelievable. The man pulled out an antique map, more precisely, a carefully framed copy, and told the president that no one else knew about it. The man pointed to one exact spot. He said that it was the exact location of the treasure, and that place didn't appear on any other map. He guaranteed that he knew where the treasure was. The story sounded crazy and swashbuckling. Whoever that man was, he turned out to be right. His identity remains a mystery for everyone, but somehow that man found the funding, determined the area to be inspected, and even made his way to meet the president. Right, the San Jose was stuffed with gold, and whoever found it would get filthy rich for the rest of their life. But let's face it, there's no way an ordinary person could ever discover such a treasure, as it requires too much effort and too much funding. But what if you're into treasure hunting, and you want to go and find some treasure chests somewhere? Well, I guess I have a story about ordinary people looking and even eventually finding real treasure. Meet Forrest Fenn, an eccentric millionaire who hid a $1 to $5 million treasure. The exact worth was unidentified. You see, even Mr. Fenn himself said he never tried to appraise it. Inside the chest, there were 265 American gold eagles and double eagles, ancient coins, gold nuggets, you name it. Forrest stashed the chest in the Rocky Mountains and announced the treasure hunt back in 2010. Now let's focus on a map for a little bit and see how vast the Rocky Mountains are. Basically, the treasure hunters were supposed to sweep the two countries, both the USA and Canada. At first, it was a small treasure hunt with only a couple of people who knew about it. But sometime later, there was pretty much a competition, as tens of thousands of people set off to look for the treasure. There was research stating that over the decade, about 350,000 people tried their luck looking for the mystery chest. To announce the hunt, Forrest Fenn used a poem made up of 24 lines. The poem had some hints in it that most treasure hunters failed to decode. It was so well hidden that it took 10 years to finally discover it. There was also a blog called Thrill of the Chase, and on June 6, 2020, Mr. Fenn finally posted the long-awaited news. The treasure had been found. Forrest himself admitted that anyone who read the instructions from the poem carefully could find the treasure. The poem created a lot of buzz on the internet, with many users trying to decode the 9 hints the poem had. Some of them even suggested the possible keys to decode the puzzle. Those speculations might have helped the person who eventually found the treasure. At first, even Forrest Fenn himself didn't know who cracked all the codes in the poem, made it through the dense forest, and retrieved the chest. The lucky finder preferred to stay anonymous, and all we initially knew was that it was a man from the eastern United States. The winner sent a photograph to Forrest Fenn, and thus the treasure hunt was officially over. Sometime later, though, he revealed himself. It was Jack Stewart, a former journalist and medical student. The treasure was hidden under a canopy of stars in a forest in the Rocky Mountains. The vegetation there is lush, so the chest was hidden deep within. The chest had never been moved from the place where it was originally hidden. The exact location is still unknown, but we know that the treasure was hidden in Wyoming. Jack admitted that not all the advertised treasures were found in the chest. A small gold frog on a necklace and a Spanish emerald ring were missing. Forrest indeed found the frog in his collection and gave it to Stewart, but he failed to find the ring. The treasure hunt created by Forrest Fenn may seem extravagant, but he explained why he decided to start it. The only thing he claimed to have in mind was to give people some hope.
Oh boy, you find yourself in the mysterious ruins of an ancient city. You're the only member of the expedition who has managed to make it here. You're walking through a dark maze when you accidentally activate a trap. Whoa, that's a strange sound. Suddenly, a huge rock starts rolling towards you down the hallway. You run as fast as you can, jumping over debris. A final dash and whew! This room looks like a treasury. Gold coins and gems are scattered everywhere. You go wide-eyed with astonishment. That's enough money to live the life of luxury for decades on end. But it's not the shiny gold that interests you. It's an old lamp that lies in the rubble. As soon as you pick it up, the lamp starts shaking and a huge genie jumps out of it. You have one wish. Yeah, just one because it's a lazy genie. No problem. You ask for so much money that you'll never be able to spend it all. The genie claps his hands and disappears. Ding! This is a message to your phone. Your bank account has been topped by 10000. Boy, that number doesn't even fit on the screen. You go back to the surface and pull out your phone. You're going to check who's the richest man on Earth now. Ah, there you are at the top of the page. And again, the number ends in 3 dots. Well, it's time to go home and start spending your money. The first thing on the list is a plane ticket. An extra legroom seat? Nah, too cheap. First class? The same. How about your own plane? Something like an Arabian prince would own. You opt for a huge Airbus 380 converted into a private jet. There's a spiral staircase, an elevator, 4 VIP rooms, a concert hall, a Turkish bath, and a parking lot. You press the pay button, and your plane's waiting for you on the landing strip. You check your bank account, and the number hasn't even changed. So, the genie didn't cheat. As you fly home, you wonder about other ways to spend your endless supply of money. A car? A house? You need some more time to mull it over. You land in your country and now you need to get home. Taking a bus or catching a cab is out of the question. You walk up to a newly purchased Bugatti. This car is one of a kind and costs $18.6 million. Your small apartment doesn't suit you anymore. You need something bigger, a skyscraper. So, the world's most expensive skyscraper has been the Abraj Al Bait in Saudi Arabia that cost $16 billion to build. but you invest $20 billion to break the record. The construction has started, but you still need somewhere to live. You buy a penthouse at 172 Madison Avenue in New York City for $100 million. You've already spent $17 billion, but it doesn't seem your bank account has changed. You feel bored. You decide to entertain yourself by buying the costliest things in the world. A watch with a bunch of the world's rarest diamonds? $55 million. Got it. One more car, this time an old-school Ferrari worth $70 million. It's yours. A baseball card that costs more than $3 million. Hey, why not? A $450 million painting created by Leonardo DiCaprio. Oops, I mean Leonardo da Vinci. It goes into the basket too. Wow, this shopping is so exhausting. Time to relax. Which means a private island. $610 million is the price of a huge island in Hawaii. It's the size of a large city, and now it's all yours. You aren't going to board your old plane to get to the island. You're buying a new one. It's a Boeing 747, the model presidents use when they need to fly somewhere. $660 million, and now it's all yours. Sitting on a luxury plane with a large team of flight attendants at your service, you feel like the world's #1 person. And you already imagine sailing around your new island, right? How could you forget about a yacht? The world's most expensive one is plated with gold and reportedly has some T-Rex bones in the bedroom. It took 3 years and 10 tons of solid gold to build, and you buy it for almost $5 billion. The island looks deserted. There's nothing here but golden beaches and lush greenery. But aren't you the richest man in the world? You decide to build yourself a palace. Click, and $3 billion, Buckingham Palace appears on the island. And one more for your guest, please. Now you're actually traveling around the beautiful island on your own yacht. But your face doesn't look happy. The entertainment for the rich is rather boring. You look up at the sky and think about flying to the stars. And here you are, standing on the launch pad near the rocket that's about to take you into space. You've paid $52 million to do it. But the International Space Station seems to be filled with nothing but research labs. Not too exciting. That's why you build a new $150 billion space station with lots of fun stuff and even a spa. You've already spent more money than all the richest people on the planet ever have, but your bank account still hasn't changed whatsoever. Your imagination is running amok. Ooh, Mars. You spend another $2.5 billion and become the first person to set foot on Mars. Well, red sands, steep mountains, craters? But there's nothing to do, even for you, the man with an unlimited amount of money. So you slam your rocket's door closed and go home. All your skyscrapers are already built. New York City, with your house in the middle, looks very different now. You're lying in a giant bedroom with marble floors, ancient Chinese vases, and a fountain. Your money can buy anything, but you're lonely. So you have another skyscraper built next to yours. This one is for your friends. And one more for your family. And, of course, your beloved cat also deserves a private penthouse. You've run out of free space. It's time to build your own city. You choose a place that used to be a scorching desert with nothing but sand for miles on end. But you pay trillions of dollars and have a city built from scratch. There's a chain of restaurants with your name on them. There are billboards with your face in the streets, and a giant statue on the tallest building in the city looks exactly like you. The city is almost empty, but you drive through its streets escorted by security guards in extravagant cars. For dinner, you buy the most high-priced fish in the world. It's the bluefin tuna for $3 million. And then you decide it's time to make a movie about yourself. The most expensive movie ever made cost $400 million. You pay $1 billion and hire the world's highest-paid actors. But when the movie's ready, the only audience watching it is you, mostly because you're in your private theater. When the credits are rolling, You start to throw popcorn at the screen. You didn't enjoy the show. You walk down a long corridor with the most expensive pictures in the world. Next to them, you see the rarest archaeological finds and, is it another fountain? No, you're not okay. You spent trillions of dollars, but you haven't gotten an ounce happier. You decide to go back to where it all began. With a torch in your hand, you return to the ancient ruins. There it is, the treasury. You find the genie's lamp where you left it. As soon as you pick it up, the genie appears in front of you. He laughs at you because you've fallen into his trap. He gave you an infinite amount of money so that these riches drove you crazy. But you pull out your phone and press the Donate All button. In that very second, your money goes to charity accounts all over the world. Now, scientists have more opportunities to work on new medicines. Ecologists have found more funds to use while saving our planet. And every person on Earth has enough food now. The genie gets angry because you've tricked him. He's about to strike you with a lightning bolt. But you grab the lamp and confine the genie to it forever. When you get home and turn on the TV, you see your face on every channel. You're called a hero, the savior of humanity. You get thousands of thank you letters from people you've made happy. You smile and feel better too. Apparently, helping others is the best thing you can do. So, another crazy thing happened to me recently. It was a Sunday morning, and I fried eggs for breakfast, but something was definitely wrong. I wasn't sure if it was the eggs or me, though. Now, you've tried fried eggs, right? They normally taste like, eggs. But that time, along with the eggs, I could also taste lemon, vanilla yogurt, and even some paper. And it's not as good as you might think. Yogurt tastes nice by itself, but together with eggs, it's gross. Whatever was the reason, I decided I'd be okay with just a tea for that day. But as soon as I tried it, I spat it out. What is that? Did I put a spoonful of black pepper there? I needed some water ASAP. I got a glass and, thankfully, it was just a regular glass of water. I tried to eat some strawberries, but along with the normal strawberry taste, they had a taste of hot chili. That's not a good combination, to be honest. It looked like something happened to all of the food in the house. I also had an orange juice, so I drank a glass of it. Surprisingly, it tasted totally fine. Suddenly, I got a weird thought. Do I taste colors? It was so crazy and strange that I needed to check this theory immediately. I admit I licked the white back of my cell phone, but it really did taste like vanilla yogurt, just like the egg. So, it was true. I could taste colors that would mix with every food's original taste and mess it up. I wanted to go to the doctor, but although this new superpower was weird, it was still a bit exciting. Also, I couldn't wait to figure out what other tastes are like. So, I went to a store and got myself a pack of markers. I got to the table, opened the yellow one, and licked it. It did taste like lemon. So, I licked each one and made a list. Pink tasted like strawberry. Red was chili. Orange was an orange. Blue was very bitter. Light blue was salty. And violet was blueberry. Black was black pepper. Beige, nut muss. Gray, paper. And green tasted like puke. Well, I had to conclude I don't eat green food from now on. Not that I was really sad about it, though. Only one color was left, the brown one. I was very reluctant to try it, but I had to figure it out. Whew. To my relief, it had the taste of coffee. I don't like coffee, but it could be worse. I knew I had to go see my doctor, but I kind of wanted to live with this superpower for a while. It doesn't happen to you every day, So I decided I'll go to the doctor tomorrow. And today, I had to learn how to live with this ability. I had to avoid putting in my mouth anything black, gray, blue, and green. Not only food, but the dishes and cutlery as well. And I had to figure out what food I can actually eat, because I didn't like strawberries that tasted like chili pepper. So I went to the store to get some transparent dishes. While walking, I was thinking about my menu for today. Orange juice works, strawberry, vanilla, and lemon yogurt too. I could make a fruit salad with mango, raspberries, grapes, banana, and yogurt. But that was all I could come up with. As I was thinking, I was biting my lip and found out it tasted like strawberry. In the store, it was pretty easy to find a transparent bowl, but spoons and forks were a problem. I think I went to every store in my city until I could finally find them. As soon as I got back home, I cut all the fruits and made a fruit salad. I hadn't eaten much that morning, as you remember. Honestly, it was the best salad ever. I saved some money because I didn't have to buy berries, oranges, and lemons, but the taste was there. As I was enjoying my meal, the phone rang. It was my grandma, and she invited me for dinner that evening. I tried to say I couldn't make it, but she wouldn't listen. Grandmas. You know, it's just impossible to skip when they want to feed you. So she said she didn't want to hear any excuses and that I had to be at her house by 6. This meant I couldn't wait until tomorrow. I had to go to the doctor right then and get rid of this superpower before my grandma made me eat puke and drink tea with black pepper. I checked the time. I had only 20 minutes before my doctor left, and the clinic was several blocks away. I finished my salad and ran out of the apartment. I got to the clinic just 5 minutes before it closed for the day and asked if my doctor could see me because I had an emergency. To my relief, he agreed. When I told him that I could taste colors, he looked at me puzzled and probably thought it was a stupid prank. Then I told him the whole story about the fried egg for breakfast and how I bought and tasted all the markers, that violet was blueberry and green was not an apple as he might have thought. That I spent hours trying to find a transparent spoon and fork. To be honest, in my head it sounded better and was making much more sense. The doctor was silent and kinda suspicious. He measured my temperature, my blood pressure, and looked at my mouth. "So, you've been eating markers," he smiled. Oops, I guess my tongue was the color of a rainbow. Well, that really doesn't sound normal for a grown-up. The doctor obviously didn't believe me, so he just let me go, recommending a good night's sleep. So, I guess I was stuck with it, and I had to go to Grandma's. Unfortunately, there was no way she'd feed me strawberry yogurt for dinner. I got home to get my new cutlery, so at least I didn't have to taste paper when eating with my grandma's gray metal fork. I had another couple of hours, so I did some Googling, but still couldn't find any solution or even research on my condition. I thought that maybe I could wash it off, so I drank a gallon of water. But it didn't help, so I went to Grandma's place feeling doomed. Plus, I really needed to go. She was happy to see me and announced that she had my favorite broccoli pancakes for me. Yeah, maybe yesterday they had been my favorite, but definitely not anymore. I tried to say I'm not hungry and I could just drink some orange juice, but of course, she wouldn't listen. She gave me a plate with 5 pancakes and a cup of black tea. Suddenly, I got an idea of how I could get rid of at least the pepper taste. If I put a piece of lemon in the tea, I'll get brown. Therefore, I'll have a coffee tea instead of a pepper tea. I was lucky. My grandma did have the lemon, so the tea problem was solved. But the worst part was the pancakes, and my grandma was looking at me all excited and pleased. I had to eat. I was trying hard to control my facial expression and look very happy, as if I was eating the best food on the planet, even though it was the most terrible meal in my life. And yes, I was drinking a lot of my coffee tea. Well, 3 cups. But when I finished and thanked my grandma, she was so happy that I understood eating puke was worth it. Turned out my grandma actually had a vanilla yogurt, so I ate all she had to get rid of the taste I still had in my mouth after the pancakes. On my way home, biting my strawberry lip, I was thinking, I had to come up with a plan on how to get rid of this ability, but I couldn't think of anything. So as soon as I got home, I just went to sleep, even though it was only 9 p.m. I slept for 11 hours, and the next morning, I made myself a fruit salad with yogurt. Again. I guess from then on, it was my dish for the rest of my life. I was eating it with my transparent fork and watching a TV show, when I suddenly realized I couldn't taste any lemon there, and no orange as well. I bit my lip, and it didn't have a taste anymore. With my hand shaking, I opened the fridge to get my strawberries. I ate one, and it tasted like a regular normal strawberry. no chili pepper. Everything was back to normal like it never happened. But I swear it did. Really? Ah, such a beautiful day, isn't it? It is, until it all goes boom. That's gravity disappearing for just a second. Let's recap the events from the smallest to the largest scale. We'll start with you. Yes, you. If gravity is lost for a single second, unfortunately, you'll most probably be no more. Thing is, gravity doesn't only keep you anchored to the Earth, it also holds all the atoms inside your body together. If this force completely disappears, even for such a short period of time, chances are you'll simply fly apart. Blah! If you don't, then you'll start floating above the ground. Not high though, because 1 second isn't enough to fly too far away. If the gravity stops working only for you, then you'll levitate a little over an inch upwards and then fall back without consequences. Your thoughts will be occupied by the lack of oxygen in your lungs though, because with no gravity, your blood will stop pumping. Now, if it affects the surrounding objects as well, you'll be lucky to be away from home because everything around you will float too. And after a second, all your cutlery, your bed, your wardrobes, etc. will smash down on the floor. Luckily, buildings and trees will probably stay put because they're strongly rooted in the ground by their own means. Still, the picture won't be pretty, and it'll be up to you to clean that mess. Ah, shucks. By the way, you surely know our planet is spinning and hurtling through space at mind-blowing speeds. So there's a chance that if gravity does turn off for a second, everything on the Earth's surface will succumb to inertia and fly horizontally at several hundred miles per hour. That will be an even bigger mess, but only if everything retains its mass. If it doesn't, then it should be no problem. Maybe. Yet, the real trouble starts if the gravity disappears for the entire planet. The force of gravity is equal to the pressure from inside the Earth, and if the outside pressure is gone, nothing will stop the molten innards of our planet from bursting onto the surface. An immense earthquake will begin all over the Earth as the tectonic plates move upwards. Also, all the world's volcanoes will probably erupt too, since the lava will be pumped up with the pressure. If such a mega eruption occurs, no life will survive except the sturdiest of creatures, such as tardigrades. The clouds of volcanic ash will spread across the whole planet, blocking the sun. At first, the temperatures will rise due to the greenhouse effect, but then the planet will cool down and a new ice age will begin. Optimistic. This will all happen even if the gravity returns after a second, because the motion will already start and it'll take a more powerful force to calm it down. Up above, the atmosphere of the Earth will simply evaporate. The air we breathe is also kept around the planet by the force of gravity, so if it pops, we'll have nothing to fill our lungs with. When the gravity comes back in a second, the atmosphere will eventually gather itself back, but the damage will have been done already. It will take a lot of time for the air to return to its original composition. Meanwhile, in space, things are even worse. As far as we know, everything in the universe is held together by gravity, including other planets, stars, galaxies, and even galactic clusters. On a cosmic scale, our planet is but a fleck of dust, having a really tiny mass. The Sun is incredibly huge by comparison. It's 109 times bigger in diameter and over 300,000 times more massive, which is why its gravity is able to keep so many planets in its orbit. And now that enormous force is just poof. Even though it's only a second, the immense pressure of gas from inside our star makes it explode, sending a heat wave far greater than anything we've ever experienced in history. Now, the Sun will most likely survive because a second is too short a period of time for the star to inflate too much. But the same can't be said about Mercury, Venus, Earth, and probably Mars too. Mercury, being the closest, will probably be simply incinerated. The temperature on Venus is already extremely high, but it will spike even more, scorching its surface. Good thing it's not inhabited. And bad thing that Earth is. The heat wave from the Sun will probably obliterate our atmosphere first and then do the same with the surface. So, from the looks of it, nothing will be able to survive again. Oh well. But that's not even close to the end. Our Sun is one of the smallest stars in the universe, the biggest known one being about 1,500 times larger and more massive. If such a giant loses its gravity for a second, everything around it for millions upon millions of miles will simply disintegrate, including other smaller stars. But the objects with the most mass and, as a result, the most gravity are neutron stars and black holes. Both of them are extremely small for their mass, like me. But the pressure inside them is so immense that the loss of gravity for even a fraction of a second might mean a tremendous space explosion. And with a whole second, it's basically warranted. Nobody knows for sure, though, how black holes operate, so there's a chance that something else will happen with them, or nothing at all. Finally, on the largest scale, if gravity decides to take a second-long break, surprisingly, nothing much will happen. Planets will mostly retain their orbits, although they might change a little bit, and if we talk about galaxies or galactic clusters, those won't even notice anything. The biggest changes will be local because, as I said earlier, stars will explode, and the larger the blast, the more it will affect the neighboring celestial bodies. For example, if a star large enough sends a wave of energy in the direction of our solar system, it might send asteroids flying toward us from the Oort cloud. Those space rocks fall onto the Moon and even Earth quite regularly, but they're mostly rather small. The ones sent to us by a star explosion, however, might be a lot bigger and more dangerous. We will be protected by other planets, but still, the chances of collision will be a lot higher than normal. But who cares really? We'll be toast by then. Obviously, this is all just speculation. Nobody knows for sure what'll happen if gravity suddenly decides to stop working even for a second. What we know, though, is that it can't happen without numerous laws of physics being broken all at once. Scientists are pretty certain such a turning off is impossible altogether. For this to happen, everything in the universe will have to lose its mass first. Mass is the main reason things have gravity, so the heavier the object, the more gravity it has. Even you have it. It's just so small that you can't feel it. But if you were several million times more massive, you'd probably be the center of everyone's attention. Hey, I'd use that opportunity.
As soon as the Earth is cut in half, almost all living creatures will come to an end. An apocalypse will begin, which has not been shown in movies. The atmosphere is damaged, the magnetic field will change, and the planet's landscape completely alters. But the planet will be completely renewed, and life, like a phoenix, will be reborn from the ashes. A super powerful laser would be needed to separate the planet. Such a laser has to receive energy directly from the sun. The weapon goes into space on a rocket, thousands of miles above our world. Then, once the laser arrives at its destination, it opens wide to expose plates of solar panels. The laser absorbs and concentrates the sun's rays. Then a powerful energy beam with the diameter of several cities shoots into the middle of the planet. Oceans through which the beam passes boil and evaporate from the high temperature. These vapors turn into a vast thundercloud in the sky. A strong wind drives these clouds over the continents. Heavy rain falls, which floods not only cities, but entire countries. As the tectonic plates shift, tsunamis are created. Huge waves crash onto the shore. The Earth is split in two. And this is just the beginning. The structure of the Earth, or rather, each half of it, is changing. Strong earthquakes occur all over the world. The worst disasters happen near the fault line. Billions of tons of ground are smashed. Massive landslides drag entire cities below. Chunks of land, thousands of miles in size, shoot away from our planet. All living creatures on these pieces of land fly into outer space. Other broken pieces of the planet land on the half that is closest to them. Imagine a huge rock the size of a whole city falling from the sky, and there will be hundreds or thousands of such stones. Those who live far from the cut site have a chance to survive. But even there, earthquakes will destroy houses. The moon will also start to throw off pieces from itself. These pieces, like a meteor shower, will fall onto the Earth halves and create massive explosions. These explosions will create fires. The skies will be covered with ash, and until it settles, we won't be able to see the sun. Both parts of the planet are drifting away from each other. The red-hot heart of our Earth is right in the center between the two. This is the Earth's core, consisting of molten metals. Each half of the core exudes energy comparable to a star. Between the two parts of the planet, a layer of such hot space is created that nothing can survive there. Any item that falls into this space immediately turns into ashes. The mass of the core is much larger than the ground mass, so there's a higher level of gravity. The core sucks in everything that comes close. You can't travel from one part of the Earth to the other. The core's gravity attracts any shuttle. Each half of the Earth now lives on its own. Typically, the core inside our planet rotates and creates the Earth's magnetic field. This field is a shield that protects us from the sun and space. If the shield is damaged, solar and cosmic radiation passes through the atmosphere. Because the core is divided into two parts, the Earth's magnetic field becomes unstable. Power outages begin in both parts of the planet. Microwaves, TVs, kettles, traffic lights, computers, everything is broken. The screen of your laptop or phone starts turning on and off. The video may freeze and the battery runs out and charges in 1 second. Satellites stop working, which means there will be no more GPS. High-frequency radio waves used for communication stop working, which means you can't make calls and send texts. In fact, all power plants may sink underground or be flooded because of the earthquakes, so there might not be electricity at all. Some people are sensitive to solar storms and experience severe headaches. When the magnetic field is damaged, the surviving people and animals will suffer from severe migraines. Scientists will have to invent special helmets to protect people from the sun. For full protection, people will have to live in underground cities. Compass needles no longer point north. They just spin in different directions. The birds go mad. They don't know where to fly to wait out the winter because the south no longer exists for them. All animals stop migrating. In the sky, planes can't navigate. Plants and flowers can't grow naturally thanks to the increased radiation from the sun. Livestock are poorly fed. The quality of products deteriorates. There's famine. The main goal for people on each half of the planet is survival. In some places, closer to the fault, the Earth's atmosphere is completely damaged. The conditions there will be similar to those in space. There is no air or heat. Only in a spacesuit can you stay in this territory. Unfortunately, you won't be able to jump and fly because gravity still works. Besides, it's gravity that becomes the salvation of our planet. Both parts of the Earth won't fly away from each other because of the force of gravity. Instead, they will rotate and start to attract each other. In 100,000 years, both parts of the planet will reconnect once more, and the Earth will be completely renewed. Since the core is molten metal, it will return to a single heart, but it will take much longer to connect the solid rock of the halves. A scar forms along the entire fault. The scar will be overgrown with forests and flooded with oceans, but there will be strong earthquakes in some places near this scar. By this time, all living things have probably disappeared. On our planet, conditions are about the same as 4.5 billion years ago. Seas and oceans boil, lightning strikes everywhere, tectonic plates change their shape, and lava flows from volcanoes in a rapid stream. The Earth looks like a vast boiling pot, inside which life is gradually created. Because the Earth has decreased in size and the core hasn't changed much, the gravity will be different. On land, it will be more difficult for an ordinary person to walk. They will weigh much more. In such conditions, new, previously unknown life will be created. Today, the world's atmosphere and oceans are polluted, the population is increasing, and glaciers are melting. In the future, things could be much worse for our planet. In 1,000 years, when humanity has mastered space travel, we may decide to change our residence. We'll start looking for other Earth-like planets, and maybe we'll find something. However, nothing compares to our first home, and humanity decides to cure it. Perhaps we'll come up with the idea to divide the planet in half and live on one side. And after 100,000 years, we can come back to a new healthy home. What if you divide other planets? Since they don't have a magnetic field, they won't be as affected. For example, Venus and Mars have no seas, oceans, or lakes. Some scientists think they're entirely dried up because the magnetic field has disappeared there. This led to the complete destruction of the atmospheres of these planets. The solar wind blew across their surface with such force that it dried up all the liquid. The Earth's atmosphere reflects this wind, so thankfully, we're safe. There would be no significant cataclysms on other planets, except for earthquakes. Like Earth, the two parts of each world would simply rotate until they reconnect once more.
Woo, that party was wild. You and your friends go out of the club and call a taxi. 10 minutes later, you're all riding in comfort to your homes. From the corner of your eye, while chatting with your buddies, you register that street lights are out already. Although it's 3 a.m. and still dark outside. Whatever. The taxi drops you at your house and speeds away. The driveway is dark as well. Everyone's probably asleep, no wonder. You walk to your front door. The motion-sensitive light doesn't turn on. Now that's weird. The bulb must have blown. You shrug and fumble for your keys in the dark. Gotcha. Now be quiet not to wake everyone. You don't turn on the lights in the hall, take off your shoes, and tiptoe to the bathroom. All you need now is a good shower to wash off the sweat from all that dancing. You click the light switch, and nothing. The light doesn't turn on here either. Now, that's not a coincidence. You briefly think of going to the basement and using the diesel generator, but drop the idea. The thing is too loud. Okay, you'll wash in the dark then. You turn the bath tap, but all it does is gurgle and let out a few grimy drops, and then it goes quiet. Wonderful. No light, no water. The best end of the night ever. Annoyed, you go upstairs to your room, careful not to step on your cat on the way, and fall on the bed without even undressing. What's the point, right? Morning. You wake up feeling yucky. The clothes cling to your body. You desperately need a shower now. You go downstairs to the bathroom, click on the lights without thinking, and it all comes back to you. There's still no light. You check the tap again, no news there either. Just great. Okay, it's 11 a.m. already. Generator it is then. You go to the basement and pour some gas into the tank, then turn it on. It begins roaring loudly, but at least it works. That means you have electricity now. As you go back up, you see your mom's woken up. You explain what's going on and go outside to the nearby store to get some bottled water. On the way, you meet one of your neighbors. He's carrying a gallon bottle of water in each hand. You quickly find out everyone seems to have the same problem. No light, no water. As you turn the corner, even from afar, you can see a line before the store entrance. You have to wait for a full 20 minutes before your turn comes, and you take your own 2 gallons. The cashier informs you in a tired voice that card payments are not available due to power outage. Only cash, please. You roll your eyes and give him $5. Surely it's a temporary inconvenience, nothing more. You go back hauling the bottles. It's been a full month now without electricity and tap water. What started as a nuisance is now turning into a full-blown disaster. Most public venues are closed, as well as factories and even schools. TV isn't working either, obviously, so many people have gone unemployed. You had to drop your studies, helping your parents in the yard. They've been busy growing their own vegetables there. But what really worries you is that there still hasn't been any official announcement about what's happening. People are starting to gather in close communities to help each other. Many of those whose work was related to computers and machines are now learning to survive on their own without the modern conveniences. But even farmers have had it tough. They try to use machines sparingly, saving the fuel, and their work has become increasingly hard. Bottled water is becoming a luxury too. The prices have skyrocketed in the past few weeks, and if it doesn't get better soon, only select few will have access to clean water. At home, you only turn on the diesel generator when it's necessary, to cook food or do a quick cleanup once every few days. At other times, you don't use electricity at all. You're starting to get used to waking up at dawn to catch as much sunlight during the day as possible. When the sun sets, nothing can be done in the darkness, so you either go to sleep after a hard day's work or burn a candle and read a good old-fashioned book. Half a year has passed, nothing's changing, there's still no information about what caused the outage, and people who went on expeditions to other towns return with the same news from everywhere. The problem seems to be global. Getting used to your new lifestyle, you and your parents have reorganized your household. You've got a couple of cows and several chickens for milk and eggs. And your backyard is now a real garden with cucumbers, potatoes, tomatoes, and even apples growing under your supervision. Getting water for drinking and gardening is an ordeal, though. Bottled water has become too rare and extremely expensive. So now you have to go to the river 6 miles away. At first, you traveled there by car, taking as many bottles and canisters as could fit. But after a few months, you've completely run out of gas. So now and your dad walk all the way down there and back. At least you have a cart, so you can haul more than you would with your bare hands, but the journey still takes the best part of a day. The town has become a really friendly and supportive community. Neighbors help each other all the time. And it's become common to have barbecue parties with the whole neighborhood. Everyone's bringing their own food to contribute, and those who aren't coping with natural living yet take home some goods to fill their bellies for several days. Although you're living on the outskirts, almost in the country, it's still unusual how quiet it is without cars driving by. Still, another sound has replaced the engines: hooves clopping along the road. More and more people are riding horses again to get by. The town itself has grown almost empty. People are leaving their apartments to live in the country, and many of them have to unite in tight groups to survive on the plots of land they've procured for themselves. The best spots are, of course, along the riverbanks. That's where most townspeople have concentrated. Some tried to organize posts and sell water from the river, but they were soon put to shame. Free access to water was given to everyone. It's your mom's birthday today. You and Dad have traded some meat and vegetables for a nice bouquet of white roses and strawberries, her favorites. It's the 4th time you celebrate her birthday in this new world. 4.5 years you've been living off the ground, and things are looking better than ever. Your dad talked to the community and the former townspeople by the river, and they agreed to help build an irrigation system. You've dug 3 canals that help water everyone's crops and then return to the main flow. Now, you don't have to travel 12 miles every few days. Also, people from your neighborhood have arranged for communal crops, and you work on your patch every day, sowing, plowing, and harvesting. Afterwards, the harvest is distributed among everyone according to the size of their households. With this system, nobody gets left out, even if they can't work in the field. Surprisingly, you took a liking to this lifestyle. You barely remember what it was like to have a smartphone or to watch TV, but you enjoy the singing of birds every night and working in the fresh air every day. Although it was hard at first, you've now grown tanned and lean and muscular, and both your physical and mental health has improved. You're no longer pursuing deadlines or hurrying anywhere. Your life is now peaceful, and you have a simple purpose: to live and help others. You haven't forgotten your friends either, and you come visit each other often. They come to help you in the field, and in the evenings, you have a dinner together, play cards, and sing songs around the fire. As far as you know, life's never been this simple yet satisfying. Nobody still knows what happened, but it seems to be for the better after all. If there were cataclysms on Earth every 5 minutes, living conditions on our planet would be almost the same as 4.5 billion years ago. Back then, seas and oceans boiled, lightning struck everywhere, tectonic plates changed their shape, lava flowed from volcanoes, and worse, no internet. The Earth resembled a vast boiling cauldron where life was gradually being created. If it starts to boil again, this cauldron could destroy almost all life on the planet. Consecutive cataclysms. Won't hurt to pretend. Let's imagine, shall we? Good morning! You wake up in a small underground bunker. The seismic sensor indicates that a 7-point earthquake will start in a few minutes. You pack a huge waterproof backpack and go upstairs. The underground bunker is protected from seismic activity. It moves with the ground, so you're safe here. But you need to leave the shelter because supplies are low. Also, yesterday, you picked up a radio signal telling all survivors to go south immediately. The coordinates they gave aren't far from your location. You have to hurry, though, before the landscape changes again. You open the hatch and find yourself in the middle of the desert. The sun is almost invisible beyond the gray sky. The ground is shaking, but you're not afraid. There are no houses or buildings, nothing to fall on you. You keep your balance perfectly, and the earthquake doesn't knock you off your feet. It's like jumping on a trampoline. The only danger is the deep chasms in the ground, but you can easily jump over them. After such an extreme morning warm-up, you decide to have breakfast. You take a tin can out of your backpack. You have a few minutes before the next disaster, so you eat and remember how your great-grandfather told you how all this started. Before all of this, the planet was divided into territories called countries. Millions of people lived in them, and then something terrible happened. The tectonic plates started to move, and the air temperature and atmospheric pressure began to rapidly change. In one day, earthquakes destroyed entire cities. Tsunamis and floods washed away the remaining ruins. Volcanic ash blocked the passage of sunlight. Forest fires destroyed almost all vegetation, and eruptions poisoned the air. Only a few people managed to adapt to such harsh conditions, and you are a lucky duck to be one of them. As you finish your breakfast, you're distracted by another ground tremor. Time to move on. Many people travel around the world alone, as they consider it a safer way of life. Some people form small communes, but no one ever stays in one place for too long. Your whole life is in motion, but you don't panic. One of the main rules during natural disasters is to remain calm, so all survivors have steel nerves and excellent physical training. You run a few miles south and suddenly smell something strange. You put on a gas mask. The earthquake has created a limnic eruption. Natural carbon dioxide is released from the ground to the surface. You feel comfortable in a gas mask, but can't run fast while wearing it. Far up ahead, you see a green forest, a rare place that was not affected by fires. You take off the gas mask and go to the tree to take shelter in the shade from the scorching sun. This green area is rich in vegetation. Colorful flowers, strawberries, and many other berries grow here. But you're concerned. Such fertile land comes from being near volcanoes. It spews underground magma rich in vitamins and minerals, so vegetation grows. You can see a high mountain in the distance. This is the volcano. An underground push occurs again and provokes an eruption. You gather strawberries and run away from this place as far as possible. Lava pours from the volcano's mouth and makes a fire in the forest. You unhook a folding scooter with a motor from your backpack and drive away from the fiery mountain as fast as you can. The sky is covered with volcanic ash, but this is not for long. A strong wind grows with each passing second. You realize a hurricane is moving in your direction. You take out a small shovel and dig a hole in the ground. The soil is dry, but you have enough strength to dig a small ravine in a couple of minutes. You dive into the shelter and cover yourself with a protective tent. The hurricane blows the volcanic ash in different directions, and the air becomes clear again. But the fire doesn't stop. The wind spreads through the forest. You get out of the ravine and put on the gas mask again. There's a lot of smoke around, and it's unbearably hot. You know the hurricane couldn't just appear without any reason. Hurricanes are formed when warm, moist air collides with the sea surface and rises to the sky, so there's water nearby. Great, because you're thirsty and want to cool down. A loud sound erupts behind you. You turn around. A massive wave of water approaches the fire. Without panic, you take your life jacket out of your backpack, remove your gas mask, and put on a diving mask and fins. The wave blows you off your feet, but you don't drown. Over the years of survival, you have learned to swim very well. You grab a passing tree and wait patiently for the flood to be replaced by another natural disaster. For 5 minutes, you sail under a black, stormy sky that sparkles with lightning. Despite the waves, you try to row south. It's getting pretty cold. You finally see the shore, but this is not a land, but ice. A strong wind brought a cold cyclone, which caused a fast temperature change. It's like you're in Antarctica. Snow and blizzards are all around. It's freezing, but you take out a thin space blanket made from foil and walk slowly south. Under your clothes, you put crumpled paper, bubble wrap, pieces of cotton. All this also helps to warm your body. Along the way, you collect several bottles of snow to melt later. Icicles form on your face, and you can't see because of the snowstorm. Suddenly, the snow begins to squish under your feet. The ice melts and turns into water. A hot stream of air blows into your face. You find yourself on hard, dry ground, looking up at the sky, then at your watch. 5 minutes pass, and the sky is again covered with black clouds. You take a metal plate out of your backpack and cover your head with it. A few seconds later, you are hit by heavy rain and hail. Giant balls of ice knock on the metal shield, but you go calmly and even with a smile on your face. The ground becomes wet and loose from icy rocks. When the hail ends, you pull out all the heat-insulating materials from under your clothes and hide them in your backpack. Then you lay out a few long spokes of steel. The spokes are wrapped with copper wire. You connect the spokes to each other, making one long antenna. You stick it in the ground and run away. After the hail from the rain clouds, lightning strikes the ground. More precisely, it hits the lightning rod you've just built. You wait for the storm to end, then take the lightning rod apart and return it to your backpack. An intense heat begins. You drink some melted snow and break your way through the desert. The earth trembles, and your adventure begins again. Earthquakes, carbon dioxide, fires, floods, snowfall, tsunamis, lightning, and again and again and again. With the help of a compass, you continue your journey and reach your goal a few months later. You see a long antenna sticking out of the ground. This is a place mark for entering an underground city. The city is built from dozens of massive bunkers connected to each other by tunnels. The city walls don't allow radiation to pass through, and they don't bend from daily earthquakes. People learn to extract energy from the ground. The Earth's core gives heat. This heat boils water, then steam is formed, and electricity is created at special stations. People get water from underground lakes and rivers. Instead of the sun, ultraviolet lamps are installed everywhere, which provide people and plants with necessary light. Natural disasters happen on Earth every 5 minutes, but humanity still has a lot of space underground.
Well, hello there, my dear. Who's ever listening to this? My name is Energizer. No, Aggravator. No, wait, dagnabbit. I'll get myself together and remember my name correctly. Oh, Ebenezer. Yeah, that's how my ma and pa called me. I ain't nothing special, but it's only yet. I just been born a year after all. My ma's a beautiful lady. She's in her mid-40s now, just the age to have seniors like me. My pa is a big and kindly fella, listening to my blabbering with a smile on his bearded face. I saw their pictures of yore before my time, and pa was a boldy back then. But now his hair is so thick, Ma's hands get lost in it. They keep telling me I'll be a good lad when I grow young. I love 'em so much. Well, I'm tired now. Need some beauty sleep here. Evergazer out. Hey there. It's been a while since I recorded something here. I'm 10 now, and it's an awful good time to be alive, you know. I go to school and have lots of friends there. It's a lot of fun to study, and during breaks we play bridge. I love math and literature. You have to make your gears turn to understand those numbers and analyze books. I read a lot too, so I'm the best in my class. Can't stand PE though. My joints aren't saying no thank you exactly for making them run and pump iron. Billy's good at that. He says he's going to be an athlete when he's young. Looking at his physique, I kind of believe him. Okay, the break's over. Time to get back to my studies. Ebenezer out. I'm 20 now, and life's becoming a virtue. I just graduated from college. Been here for close to 5 years, a big deal. I'm officially a master of science now and thinking of becoming a doctor, but I'm not sure my ma and pa will be alright without me. They're already growing too young now, and I'm afraid they'll get in trouble if I'm not there. Once pa went to a party and didn't come back for 3 days. Got ma worried sick. She gave him a huge slap when he finally turned up. They made up real soon though. Youth is passionate, you know. I used to hate PE at school, but I love it now. Every chance I get, I go running in the nearby park and even ask my parents to get me a gym membership for my birthday. It's so good to feel those old bones creak less and less with each passing day. Oh, incidentally, gotta go for another run now. See you in 10 years, I guess. Ebenezer out. Hey, you know what a pain it is to care for two 70-somethings? All they want to do is throw loud parties at home, have sleepovers every weekend, and fight with each other over some petty stuff. Every time I leave for work, I'm terrified of what I'll see when I get back in the evening. Once I came home and couldn't even open the front door because one of their friends decided to take a nap right on the porch. And whenever I try to bring this topic up with mom or dad, they chide me for being insensitive. Insensitive. They say they brought me up as a good man, but they deserve to have the time of their lives after so many years of hard work. Okay, I surrender. The only person who understands me is Felicity. I'm a civil engineer, and we met at a construction site. She's a bit younger than me, but that's fine. She also has to put up with her parents who are moody all the time. She thinks they've joined some sort of goth subculture or something. And they keep telling her that she's wrong for taking up such a mundane job as a construction supervisor. When we started dating, we decided we'd give our parents some space. So we often leave for long vacations together while they demolish our houses. Oh, there she comes. Well, time for me to go then. Ebenezer out. Hey, remember me? These past 10 years have been grand. Felicity and I got married, and now we take care of our parents together, and it's awesome. They're all in their 80s now and having fun at kindergarten while we're at work, and we take them for barbecues, bubble parties, and theme parks afterwards. They get their retirement benefits all right and leave them for us to take care of. They say we're the best kids they could wish for, and I've never been so proud in my life after hearing this. It's actually Mom's birthday today, and she and Dad invited all their friends from the kindergarten and from her previous job. My personal favorite's Jenny. She's a little mischief, all right. She spooked both me and Felicity, hiding under the table when we were cooking dinner and then jumping out at us from there. And Felicity adores Donnie. That old boy seems really serious at first glance, but that little grin of his speaks volumes about him. And I've got the best news ever for dessert. Last year, we got our very own senior. Can you believe that? We named her Cecilia after her grandma. Hey Cece, say hi to this thing here. She's shy. Sitting all day in that rocking chair of hers and trying to knit. Can't walk by herself yet, so we move her around the house in that thing. She loves it, always cackles with that toothless laugh of hers.
Felicity's now running after Donnie around the backyard with a broom. I think he stole a piece of the birthday cake from the kitchen. Gotta go help her, I guess. Cheers. Ebenezer out. Hey, we've been living without our parents for 3 years now. The last year was the toughest, I guess. I never thought babies needed so many diapers. It was hard to prevent them from falling wherever they crawled, too. But Cece helped us a lot, by the way. She was only 7 and just started going to school, but she loved cooing over them and rocking their cradles. We showed Cece their pictures when they were seniors, just like her. She didn't recognize them, of course. They were so old and gray. Meanwhile, Felicity and I are on our way to retirement, and we're so looking forward to it. I'm 51, and she's 54, which means we're entering our prime now. We decided to let Cece live on her own when she's young enough, and have been looking at various holiday homes in the country. I'm rooting for the one in the mountains. We've been doing a lot of mountain climbing lately, and I feel Felicity is with me in that. Well, I'll keep you updated in a decade. Ebenezer out. Hey, it's Ben again. Yeah, I discarded that awfully boring name, so I go with Ben now. What can I say? Being over 60 is no piece of cake. Oh, Lizzie is always pounding about something, and I think she's jealous of me for hanging out with Lana. But she also keeps saying Dan this, Dan that, as if Dan is everything she can think of. We had lots of fights about that, and once I even spent most of my retirement benefits on a rented apartment and stayed there for 2 weeks. When I got back, we promised each other never to speak with Lana or Dan ever again. Cece seemed frustrated with us way too often. Come on, give me a break. Can't a married couple get some life after retirement? She calls us every evening and threatens to come to our place if we don't behave. Since when has that old girl become so adult, I wonder? Huh? Oh, okay. Anyway, Will says the zip line from the top of the mountain is ready. We're going for a flight of our lifetime. Ben out. How do you use this? Oh, yeah, hey. Hey, it's Ben. Ebenezer. I'm 72 today. Did you know that? Cece says I have to record something to commemorate this date. I don't know what to say, but I want my cake already. Cece, where's my cake?
Well, hello there. It's Franklin speaking. My grandpops Ebenezer left this device for posterity, which I guess I am. He's 84 now and mostly lying around in his little bed, but Mom tells me lots of stories about him and Grandma. I think I'll take up his tradition and let his legacy live on. Oops, little Benny soiled his nappy. Gotta go now. Franklin out.
Okay, what if pressing only one key could change your life forever and make it much easier? Well, if we were in Minecraft, everything would be possible. Too hard to live? Too many tasks, deadline, school classes are tedious, and you just can't go on like this? Change your life mode to somewhat less challenging. Just press escape. Adjust your life difficulty choosing peaceful, easy, normal, or even hard for those who like it tough. If your teacher is as hostile as a green and white pixelated creeper, choose peaceful mode. Monsters don't spawn there. Or just get yourself a cat. Creepers are terrified when they see them. Even if your pet looks a bit boxish. One more cool piece of news, if your life is in peaceful mode now, you don't even need to eat, which could save you a ton of money. As for appearances, no more worries about pimples. Now that you're pixelated, nobody's ever going to notice them. You look the same every day. Your haircut, even if you hate it and can't wait for your hair to grow, never changes unless you change the skins. You can't grow or lose some pounds. Your body proportions are much different too. In our world, the head-to-body ratio is about 1:7, and in Minecraft, it's more as if everyone had a baby body with a huge head and smaller torso. You wouldn't have fingers, so if you had Minecraft body in real life, you wouldn't be good at fine motor skills. I guess no Minecraft surgery, huh? No matter what kind of biome you live in, you don't need some super cold-resistant clothes or nice shoes. Life without changes means that you don't age the way we normally do. No more birthdays anymore. The cake you find in the game is not for candles or making wishes. It can only help you if you're starving. A day-night cycle is somewhat different now, with 100 Minecraft days equaling 33 standard hours, so life expectancy should change too. The average lifespan in the USA is 78 years, or about 683,000 hours. So the average lifespan, according to Minecraft, would jump up to 5,700 years. Hey, and you can also respawn. Ready to live forever? Food isn't that different from what we have in real life, even in terms of calories. A whole cake will replenish your energy so much more than a plain beetroot. Carbs. There would be some exceptions too. A golden apple gives extra health in Minecraft. So sad golden delicious from Walmart are only delicious in real life. You can starve in Minecraft in 2 game days, though it takes a bit longer in real life. Yeah, going with no food is a real challenge, but a human actually can do that. Water, on the other hand, is pretty essential in our world, but doesn't do much to Minecraft people when they drink it. Today's agriculture uses some fertilizers to speed up plant growing. But if we had that bone meal Minecraft people feed their plants with, we'd have an abundance of any fruit or vegetables. Life would be quite boring though. You wake up today and you mine. You wake up the next day, you craft. The retail industry could never compete with skillful people, who actually don't need it, being able to create various objects from scratch. Anyway, you don't need that much. You can do almost anything with a mere pickaxe, upgrading it to a diamond one. All those hardware stores full of handy items would go bust in a real world with a pickaxe replacing everything else. You'd also have to be a bit more hardworking though. If you want to have a nap, there's no way you could do that in the Minecraft world. Here, you only sleep at night or if there's bad weather outside. Sleep is essential not to be caught by monsters that appear as soon as the night falls. And you gotta be sure there are no monsters nearby before you go to bed anyway. You can only sleep in your bed though. Even if you want to spread on a nice meadow in the shadow, you won't just fall asleep. Same with school classes. No matter how boring they are, it's just impossible to doze off. If you're used to watching pop science TV shows, well, that's something that would probably be almost unchanged. Discovery Channel would show not only various biomes and square animals, but other worlds too, like the Nether and the Overworld. Anyway, you wouldn't spend that much time indoors. Most activities in Minecraft are performed outdoors, so you'd have to go outside really often. Traveling is fun in Minecraft world. Want to visit the Nether? No, not the Netherlands. It's a trip to the underworld. No need to buy tickets, go through customs, spend hours in a tiny airplane seat. You only want some lava and a bit of water. Pour one over the other and you get obsidian. As soon as you create at least 8 blocks of the stuff, build a portal with them, set it on fire, and voila! Welcome to the Nether. If you travel a lot, you can casually grab your bed with you and assemble it wherever you want. Nice move to avoid pricey hotels, which are missing in the Nether anyway. It's not just a fun trip though. There are a bunch of ingredients you may need for potions. No fancy souvenirs either. Rather, some useful stuff you mine from exotic nether blocks. Despite their moniker, locals called zombie pigmen are quite friendly and never attack unless it's you who started a fight. Lava can help you to travel, be a kind of trash bin, and keep intruders away. In Minecraft world, you can be sure unexpected guests won't bother you. They'll just fall into boiling lava. End of story. You can also install a tripwire hook just behind your front door to activate piston-based traps for unwanted visitors. Once your guest triggers the tripwire, the pistons will remove the flooring and send the visitor into the void. If you're going to the seaside, take your front door with you. It'll help you explore the ocean deep. If you fall into water, all you need to breathe freely is place a door above you. Nobody could ever hold their breath for more than 24 minutes in our real life, but in Minecraft, you can stay underwater almost forever, or just as long as you want. Transportation system is much cooler now. You can still use all the means of transport you're used to, but having a ride in a cart can be both fun and fast. Just build the rails wherever you want and forget about traffic jams. Physics are another big change. They give you lots of superpowers not accessible in the real world. You can jump higher, climb any mountain easier, and run faster as if the whole gravity stuff was a joke to you. You can make a vertical row of blocks, and even if you smash the lowest block, the one above it will hang in the air. It doesn't mean you can't fall down from a height. You can. But it's safe if you just spill some water from a bucket right before the impact. Not only can you perform all of that, but you can also easily chop a massive trunk in just a few moves. No tools necessary, by the way, just your bare hands. And not even a scratch left on them afterwards. You don't feel pain in this world. Don't worry, the top branches of the tree you just fell won't hurt you either, since they'll be hung in the air. Deforestation in Minecraft looks insane. Can you imagine a forest made up of floating trees? No squirrel could ever climb any trunk in such a forest. Walking around here, you're likely to come across wild animals, such as bears and wolves. You can domesticate wolves and almost convert them into dogs, and bears are not that dangerous for you. Just trap them inside a fence. It looks flimsy, but it's Minecraft world, so it's absolutely safe.
Oh man, 5 minutes to go. The most important moment in your career is coming. You're sweating buckets in that tux, but it's too late to change now. You're at an international technology conference along with the world's most famous scientists, engineers, programmers, economists, and a whole bunch of other important people. Artificial intelligence developers have made a discovery that could change the world forever. And in 4 minutes, there will be a public demonstration of this world-changing revelation. You're here as a translator. You need to translate all this science-y stuff into several languages. You've loved learning languages your whole life. First, it was foreign films and TV series with subtitles, books, comics. Then you started to study more seriously. Your parents took you all over the world to absorb different world cultures. And when you found out there are about 7,000 languages on our planet, you decided to spend your life learning them. Well, some of them. Prestigious universities, postgrads, living in different countries, studying the history of ancient languages. All this made you the best translator and language expert in the world. And now you're a little nervous, as you have to translate the conference into 7 different languages. The event begins. Scientists start to talk about the evolution of AI. No, it's not going to take over the planet. On the contrary, it's going to make people's lives easier. You have a bad feeling about this for some reason. The main developer leaks the big news. A new language has been created for the whole world to use. The language is simple to learn. The AI translation algorithm makes it easy to remember words, grammar. Basically, there will be no more communication problems anymore. To make learning it even easier, scientists have created an app that can translate any kind of speech into the new language. Context, meaning, sarcasm, irony, it can now all be translated into UCL, Universal Common Language. The world's population will be united like never before. That's when you realize that the biggest moment of your career is also the beginning of its destruction. Who's going to need a translator if everybody speaks the same language? Oh, goody. Over the next 20 years, the planet moves to speaking the common language. Every gadget has the UCL app. The language is taught in schools and institutes. Big companies and corporations introduce mandatory language courses for their employees. AI translates thousands of books a day into UCL. In movies and TV, only actors who speak UCL get the big awards. People who just couldn't learn a foreign language before have no problem with UCL. The learning process is easy and fun. Plus, it's a requirement for literally everything. So, countries start canceling their visa programs. Borders start getting erased. All over the world, the number of conflicts is decreasing because now people can understand each other much better. Operating systems, video games, tech articles, songs, jokes, science stuff, you name it, are all created in the New World language. You can call anyone on the other side of the planet, tell them something, and listen to their interesting stories. You can go on a trip around the world and not be afraid you'll accidentally order 17 squirrels for breakfast because you mixed up one little word. Movie companies stop dubbing movies, and no more subtitles. Woohoo!
The world has become more open. Air ticket prices are way down, and tourism in studying and working abroad is booming. Every year, more and more people renounce their citizenship and recognize themselves as citizens of the world. Science is developing faster than ever before because scientists from all over the world can finally work together. And studying foreign languages, a thing of the past. Okay, it seems like the world's become a better place, but UCL also has a dark side. Translators and language professors lose their jobs. Language schools get closed around the planet. Those dubbing actors also lose their jobs. You and many other people are opposed to the new language. You said about trying to prove that sooner or later, UCL will cause a catastrophe. While the whole world communicates in the new language, scientists finished their first multi-country study of the human mind. The number of neural connections, so the thoughts and biological processes in the brain, have decreased. Scientists studied hundreds of thousands of people in 3 groups: multi-language speakers, one-language speakers, and those who were born in the New World and only speak UCL. Studies show that the human brains stopped functioning as it did before. People used to try to understand foreign languages, speak them, and translate them, training their minds. Now, the parts of the brain that are responsible for this have stopped working. Even if you'd never learned a foreign language, you still used to see and hear words that you didn't understand, and your brain at least tried to process the information. Now, our brains are relaxed. Some say, if there are no other languages, what difference does it make? Who cares about a relaxed brain? But that's not the end of it. The human brain has become worse at analyzing information, remembering, and finding clever ways out of difficult situations. It's hard for people to learn new knowledge. People's vocabulary ends up becoming smaller and smaller. Sometimes, people can't even say what's on their mind. The average IQ begins to dip. Learning the languages of the past is becoming almost impossible. Some are worried about the future. People may forget their history. Changes in the human brain are one thing, but forgetting our history could be really dangerous. Every language is linked to its geography and history. But most importantly, language brings cultural diversity into your daily life. For example, there are many more words to describe the cold in cold countries, more shades of green in tropical countries. You get the picture. With UCL, these little things that make cultures different just sort of vanish. Most people now like the same music, watch the same movies. People start to lose interest in everything. Imagine you saved up money for 6 months to fly to the other side of the world. You arrive there, and everyone talks and acts just like your neighbors back home. They even watch the same shows and follow the same influencers as you. From now on, you'll never be able to determine where a person grew up by their accent. People talk with the same intonation, use the same sentence structure and words. Communication becomes boring. To better express your emotions, you use gestures and body language. 2 people arguing starts to look a lot like 2 crazy people, quivering, twitching, waving. But the worst thing is that people start to lose their sense of humor. Because there's less vocabulary, there's less thought. It's getting hard to think, let alone talk. Dreams get super boring, and poetry and song lyrics all start to sound the same. Yeah, life's become much easier, but so what? We can easily understand each other, but at the same time, we've forgotten how exciting it can be to learn something new. AI keeps trying to simplify UCL, and every year it gets easier and easier. Scientists have found that, at this rate, people will communicate using only sounds in a few decades. Nobody will be able to clearly express their thoughts or explain their actions. The global understanding everyone has is soon going to change to epic misunderstanding. People will simply forget how to communicate their thoughts. You've had a rough time since you lost your job as a translator. You've spent nearly every waking moment trying to prove that languages are necessary. Fortunately, you and other translators and professors make it happen. People will never stop using UCL, but interest in learning old languages reappears. Learning an old language becomes the hot new thing. There are more language schools than ever before. There are only a few people left on the planet who still remember multiple old languages. You and other translators get rich. Learning languages is now the most popular hobby, which perfectly develops your mental abilities. If it used to be cool to have an expensive car, a stacked bank account, and a beautiful house, now the ability to speak 2 languages is considered a sign of success. Film companies are making movies, writers are writing books, artists are creating songs, all in different languages again. The world goes back to being diverse, interesting, and fun. Merci beaucoup. So you're running through the jungle with tree branches and thick vines blocking your way. You don't know where you're going, but you feel like you're not in control of your movements. You see a huge rock in front of you. You can't stop running. You're about to crash into it. Suddenly, whoop! You're up in the air, soaring at an incredible speed. Below you is a steep valley with sharp rocks and a raging river. You hold your breath, hoping this is all a dream. But then you land back on the ground and continue running without breaking a sweat. Risking a glance behind you, you see a group of high-tech drones chasing right after you. But in front of you, there's a bright light, and as soon as you run past it, everything turns black. You catch yourself sitting in a dark room with nothing around you, trying to guess a tough riddle that's almost impossible to understand. You only have seconds to guess, or something bad will happen to you. Only 5 seconds left to make that guess. You blurt out the first thing that comes to your mind, but your tongue slips and you say something completely wrong. The look on your face is that of fear. Everything turns black. You're climbing up a large ladder, but you're not in control. Below you are rows and rows of flat tiles. You finally scale to the top and wait for yourself to move, but you can't. No matter how hard you try, it's like you're cemented to your spot. But in a few moments, you're able to move through some of the tiles and progress. The only thing that you can't control is how far you walk. You land facing a giant snake, longer than 2 buses head to tail. Its hissing is terrifying, and its fangs are dripping with venom. Luckily, you move past it without any conflict. But what's this? You land facing another snake, and this one is even bigger than the previous one. It opens its large, gaping mouth and unleashes a thunderous roar. Its red scales reflect your terrified face back at you. The snake gulps you down, and you slide down the belly of the beast. And through the dark tunnel, you suddenly end up back to where you started. It's impossible to move, and you have to go through the snakes and ladders. You're cruising in one of those fancy old sports cars. It's a lovely day in London. You pass by Trafalgar Square before taking the train at King's Cross Station. But suddenly, you're not so hot anymore. As soon as you land on Mayfair, you look at your bank account and it doesn't make any sense. All your finances are now down the drain. You have so much money to pay that it's impossible to cough up the rent. You're panicking. You have no choice but to mortgage your lands, and if that's not enough, you have to sell some of your houses and hotels to finance the rent. All that hard work gone in a matter of seconds. What about a game of patience and years of experience? You're standing in the middle of an open green field. You're glued to your spot and you can't move. The people around you are also glued to their spots. Suddenly, somebody moves 2 spots in front of them, and then you realize that everyone around you has a specific move. Some move diagonally, others forward or sideways. Some can move in an L shape. As everyone moves, you realize you're the only one who can move sideways, front, and even backwards. And what's cool is that you have unlimited moves. But there's threats all over, hidden, disguised as innocent placements. And before you know it, you're one of the few still standing. Everyone else is gone. The sun is set and the field is more open than before. You're now one of the main components to victory. As you continue, there are fewer and fewer people around. But out of nowhere, you're placed in a position poised for victory. And it's checkmate. You're anxious and breathing heavily. There was a crime committed in the library. Or maybe not. Who knows? But you're one of the detectives at the scene trying to figure out what happened. All you know is that it happened inside the mansion and you need to uncover who committed the crime, with what tool, and where the perpetrator did it. The night is young, but the clues are scattered all over, and there's no time to waste. There are other detectives trying to solve the case, but you need to be quicker. You investigate every corner and alley to try to come up with a conclusion. Looking under every lamp, between the curtains, every crack on the wall, but nothing, zilch. You make your way around every room, but something is quite intriguing in the dining room. You already looked there, but didn't pay attention to the details. And you may have found the first clue to solving the mystery. After extra searching, you can determine that you found the tool used in the crime, and in no time, you found out where the culprit did it. You lay down a press conference as soon as you're confident of your conclusion. Everyone is waiting to see what you have, and you blow them away with your analysis. The offender was in the room the whole time. You close the case and get that promotion you've always wanted. But there are more cases to be solved which are equally challenging. Imagine waking up and not knowing how to speak. You begin your day by brushing your teeth and getting dressed. But as soon as you want to exit your apartment, you can't seem to move. Like an invisible barrier is blocking your way. You look at your hand and see 7 random numbers jumbled up. A message appears that you need to make a word in order to get out. So you try to come up with the cleverest word you can think of, but of course, no cheating. You can forget about the dictionary. After punching in the word, you're able to gain access outside and continue your day. But you're not able to enter your car. Another invisible barrier is blocking you. This time, you look at your hand and see another random set of 7 letters. And you need to come up with another word. It's getting more difficult to figure it out. Eventually, you end up laying a mediocre word, but it gets the job done. By the time your day is over, you'd be a super wordsmith. You wake up in a dark, damp room. It's chilly with moss scattered across the cobbled floor. As you get up, you realize you're wearing medieval armor. You're a magical wizard with an awesome wizard hat. You find a torch in the distance to illuminate the room, and then you realize you're in a dungeon. There's fog in which you can't see beyond a couple of feet. You venture on until you hear a voice from above speaking to you. The game has begun. You will need to get out of this dungeon, avoiding all obstacles in your path. You are gifted with many spells to help you, but be warned, your magic is limited and your foes are many. Well, that was creepy. You look around and there's no one else around you. You have your wizard staff and you go deep into the dungeon. Suddenly, you cross a one-eyed creature with slime oozing down its head, 8 tentacles, and a mean growl. You need to figure out how you're going to get past the creature. Out of nowhere, you see your spells in front of you, and through a decent selection, you know what the creature's weakness is. You cast a lightning spell that irritates the creature. It ducks into the shadows and disappears. You continue your journey deep into the dark dungeon and cross a path of lava floor and spikes. But it's all good, because you have a magical shield to protect you from all the dangers in your surroundings. After defeating countless creatures, you see the light at the end of the tunnel and make it out of the dungeon. You find yourself in an enchanted forest with lush green trees and a mystical river. Fluttering around you are little fairies. They're pretty friendly too. But when you make your way deep into the forest, everything begins to change. The trees are barren and the ground seems scorched. That could only mean one thing: the dragon is nearby. But that's okay. You've leveled up pretty good to face it. You reach the mouth of a large cave where the dragon sleeps. But before you know it, the dragon wakes up and sets off into the air, breathing fire on the trees and land. You conjure some allies to help you, and with so many magic spells, you finally defeat the dragon. Alright, you get up after a long party with your friends, the sun's already high up in the sky, you take a look at the clock. Oh well, it's noon, the store's already closed. Or at least, that's a little story you like to tell yourself when you don't feel like going out for groceries. Well, time for a late breakfast. You open the fridge. Oh no, what's that weird smell? Is that cheese in a plastic bag? It's just about the only thing left in your fridge, and the store is almost 4 blocks away. So, nothing else to do but take a chance. Mold is often a sign your food is spoiled, except for when it comes to cheese. If possible, just remove the moldy parts so you can eat the rest. If by accident you ended up eating some of that mold, don't worry. Most cheese types already contain some kind of mold. It's an important part of the cheese-making process. Now, there are a few exceptions, such as dark black-gray mold. If you see that stuff on soft cheeses, you're gonna have to chuck it out and hit the store. Or maybe, just maybe, you have a Sardinian roommate whose grandma just sent him his island specialty, rotten cheese, aka maggot cheese. The Sardinian cheesemakers leave their cheese to go really bad, and voila! You've got yourself a famous delicacy with a tongue-burning taste. It's actually illegal in some countries. So, before going for that suspicious cheese chunk in your fridge, check if anything's moving around inside. If you're preparing an omelet and don't have enough ingredients to spice it up with, take eggshells, if they're organic, boil them, and then bake them at 400 degrees. When they get crispy, grind them into a powder and toss some on your omelet. Eggshells are a pretty good and cheap source of calcium, so it's worth a shot. If things get hairy, grab your tent, blanket, and lamp and run to the woods. At least there you'll have an endless supply of tree bark, so you won't have to worry about going hungry. Yup, our ancestors were eating bark ever since the beginning of time. Cinnamon bark's among the most popular. Now, wouldn't it be great if you didn't have to do the dishes after every meal? Yes, I'm talking about plates and cutlery you could eat right after using them. It's not a new concept. There are edible plates like tortilla shells, ice cream cones, and one Indian company has been making edible cutlery from rice, wheat flour, and millet for over 10 years. Now, if they could just invent an edible cake tin. Remember those good old days when you were younger and no one gave you strange looks for eating chalk? It happened to my friend, yeah. Well, in its purest form, chalk is just calcium carbonate. You won't get any special health benefits from eating it, but it's a non-toxic and natural substance that won't do any harm to your body. People who eat it usually have pica, a condition that makes people eat non-nutritional items. Paper is also one of the things people with this condition crave. One of the reasons for that could be that paper is fibrous, and they are possibly experiencing a lack of fiber. Paper's not nutritious at all, plus it's chemically treated, so better stay away. It's even not that unusual to eat clay. In some parts of the world, people use it to deal with a zinc deficiency. Of course, it has to be a special clay that's purified and suitable for consumption. Dirt. Ooh! Back to those good old days, spending time in the garden making pretend cakes out of mud. Not that dirt should be on your everyday menu, but if you can find yourself a nutrition expert, you might just find that eating a little bit of the right dirt isn't all that bad. Some clays and muds have tons of minerals in them, if they're made specially with no chemicals or anything. Dandelions are one of the healthiest edible things you can find. You got vitamins, iron, antioxidants, yup, highly nutritious, and better yet, you can find them literally everywhere. Cactus definitely looks like a plant you should avoid, but if you clean it and prepare it properly, you can add it to desserts, salads, soups, breads, drinks, you name it. It tastes like, well, kind of gooey to be honest. Remember to double-check you got all the spiky bits off. Have you ever taken a walk, looked up at the sky, noticed some birds' nests and thought, ooh, that could be my dinner for tonight? Not quite? Yeah. But edible nests are a hit in several countries. They're nutritious, have a unique taste, and yes, are made out of the saliva of a very specific kind of bird. They're extremely dangerous to harvest and hard to prepare. So, if you're into that sort of thing, don't forget to hit up the ATM beforehand. It can sell up to $4,000 a pound. One more expensive item, get ready for consumption: gold. Not that you can eat your mom's necklace if you're in the mood for a shiny afternoon snack, but gold flakes or leaves are often used to decorate food, especially when it comes to desserts. Gold is actually inert, so it doesn't cause any chemical reaction in your body and can pass straight through your digestive system without being absorbed. I was going to make a crack here about having a gold rush, but I won't. Some cultures used to boil, tenderize, and chew leather when they were out of food. Well, even if you wanted to try it, you can't. Today's leather is chemically treated, so it's pretty much a no-go. What would you do if you came across a tarantula? If it's in Cambodia, at a tarantula stall, you eat it. It's a classic Cambodian deep-fried snack. They say the taste of tarantula is similar to crab. So, let me know if it's true. Tarantulas certainly have more meat than grasshoppers, who also ended up on the menu in Asia and parts of the Americas. Both them and crickets are rich in protein and extremely edible. All these little guys need to be expertly raised and prepared. You just can't walk around picking up random insects and eating them. By the way, they say grasshoppers taste like sardines. Curious? Just a regular afternoon, you're sitting on the couch in front of the TV, wondering which snack perfectly fits into your binge session. Okay, some chocolate chip cookies could do the trick, but how about wasp crackers? Yup, biscuits filled with wasps. Next big thing? These rice cracker cookie things with added wasp come from Japan. The wasps are bred specially just for these cookies. They don't just go around town with a net. Another unusual thing from Japan is fugu blowfish. You need a lot of professional training to prepare this thing properly since it's full of toxic poison. A good serving could cost you up to $120. Once the licensed chef separates the poisonous parts, they get dumped into a metal container that gets locked with a padlock. It then gets taken to a certified fish market to be burned. It's too poisonous to throw in the regular trash. Imagine your job is collecting ant eggs, and you get paid per pound. How long would it take to gather up enough? Well, if you move to Laos, you might find out. They have one of the most unusual soups around, white ant egg soup. The taste kind of reminds people of shrimp, so it could be worth trying. Or you could just have shrimp soup. Just saying. Century eggs are something you can find in China. And no, sorry people, they're not thousands, hundreds, or even tens of years old. It usually takes just a couple of months to prepare them, but how they do it is pretty interesting. They're immersed in clay or mud. This technique is something that people in China have been doing for centuries. It preserves all the great benefits of eggs. So, what happens inside the egg? Well, basically, ammonia and sulfur build up in the yolk, as well as some strange snowflake-like patterns and amber color on the outside of the egg. Apparently, it has a pretty strong ammonia smell. Oh, the beauty of rotten-smelling foods. Yeah. Wow, you're zipping through space in a large ship as big as 3 New York City Central Parks. There's a lot of commotion going on. No, it's not some alien invading the spaceship. It's a very important day. The date is January 22nd, 2700. You've just been born outside of the Earth's atmosphere. Happy birthday! There's a medical team attending to everything. Futuristic gadgets help out with every aspect. And the view from the giant spherical glass ship is nothing but the incredible vastness of space. You can't even see Earth anymore. The spaceship is flying to a new destination millions of miles away. ETA on reaching that new host planet? Decades. Fast forward a bit. You're 25 years old, and this spaceship's the only home you've ever known. So far. You've learned all the ins and outs of the ship, You start your day in your dorm, which has all the essentials: a small compact bathroom, a mini kitchen, a bunk bed, and a magnificent view of the stars and planet outside the ship's reinforced glass. And you never need to worry about space radiation. The ship has an everlasting magnetic shield that reflects space radiation, so it doesn't seep its way onto the ship. Otherwise, there'd be big problems. The ship was designed to have artificial gravity. Astronauts normally lose 1 to 2% of their bone density every month they're up in space, since they're just floating around all the time. But now, in the future, in deep space travel, they're able to solve this problem. You make your way out of your dorm and see a wave of fellow crew members making their way to work. They're all gliding through on their advanced mini hoverboards, and everyone's wearing different colors, a space-age uniform. Yours is blue, so you hop on your board and join the blue wave. You get to the underpass of the space transport and begin your work. As an engineer on board, your job is super important, maintaining the ship and keeping it running. But something's wrong. Numbers are flashing all over the panels, and the dreaded red light won't stop blinking. You alert your coworkers, but they don't know what's happening either. Quick, you keep checking the logs and all the complicated equations, but nothing adds up. Panic starts to spread throughout the ship. The hair on your arms is standing on end. You try to click on as many buttons and switches as you can. The buzzing keeps getting louder and louder. The light is flashing brighter. Some of your colleagues make a break for it, and you're all alone in the red room. Suddenly, finally, your supervisor rushes down to help. After a while, the two of you figure it out. Whew, that was close. You still have a lot to learn about managing the ship. Since your early years, you were assigned to work as an engineer. You were great at physics, chemistry, math, all those sciencey things. It's just another day in the office. But on this ship, you may make captain one day. After work, you get a call from your friends wanting to hang out. And when I say call, I mean a phoneless device that lets you communicate with anyone while seeing all their info through a hologram projection that only you can see. You can also use it to listen to old tunes from Earth. Pop music has now become classical music, and movies are now 3D projections of your own imagination. You make your way out of the underpass and go up to the Space Plaza. That's where everyone hangs out when they have time off. Some cafes, restaurants, a barber shop, even an ice cream parlor. You've never hung out anywhere else. The space transport is essentially a small city which has all the important things society needs. That includes a biosphere full of animals and plants from different climates on Earth. Many tropical forests, many deserts, many rainforests, you name it. The biologists on board make sure to keep it all healthy so you feel like you're at home. Not that you've ever set foot on Earth. You enter the wild savanna and see some gazelles galloping around. A few wildebeest seem to be rummaging around, and a small pack of lions are on the prowl. In the jungle, you feel the humidity and the thick leaves and bushes all around. Some mountain gorillas are playing, and there are little tree frogs here and there. And lurking in the trees, making its way down for a sip of water, is a jaguar. Over in the dry desert, you see some roaming camels, a little rattlesnake slithering its way out of the heat, and some little scorpions crawling around in the sand. You learned a whole lot of biology these last 25 years. You know all about Earth, but you've never been there. Weird. After the tour of nature's habitats, you hear an announcement on the PA. It's the captain.
The new planet is hours away, earlier than anticipated. Everyone assume positions for landing.
Everyone on the ship rushes to their dormitories, except the key crew members needed to run the ship. You strap into your bunk bed that turns into a seat with fancy interstellar seatbelts. You look out your window and see a blue dot in the distance. It gets bigger and bigger, and it looks a whole lot like Earth, from far away at least. That didn't take all that long, only 25 years. Wonder what's going under the hood of that spaceship. You look back at your life in space, knowing this first part of it is coming to an end. It's kind of like living at the South Pole. At the bottom of the world lives a small community of scientists who work between winter and summer doing all kinds of research, from climate and geology to meteorology and astronomy. Their lives must be similar to living here in outer space. They have their own bunkers, scientific labs, and even recreational rooms for sports and music. The nature on the planet you're approaching is unlike anything on Earth. Tropical trees soaring higher than the highest skyscrapers. Oceans that are so wild, there are hurricanes that last for years, just roaming about. The pilot announces the landing. It's all good. Time to get to work. You unstrap yourself and head outside to see the new planet for yourself. Walking on land feels like arriving on a new planet. The humidity is thick and the wind is warm. The ship landed on the tropical side of the planet, where studies show is the best place to begin a brand new settlement. It's not going to be easy. Humans usually begin new settlements next to lakes and rivers. Think of the Mesopotamians, the ancient Egyptians, the Aztecs. The list is endless. They began as small settlements until they grew to be fully functioning mega-civilizations. By trading and exploring, they were able to advance their technology, learn new languages, and discover awesome cooking recipes. Hey, I could go for some pasta and sushi right about now. According to scientists, being born in space could alter the way humans look. Human heads could be bigger within thousands of generations. Who knows? There's no way to simulate it on Earth. We can even have different new skin colors, since we would need more melanin, that pigment stuff that protects us from sun radiation. Being closer to the sun or any hot burning mass of fire might mean we'd produce more or different kinds of melanin to protect us. We might turn dark brown, purple, gray, or even green. We'd have to wait a couple of million years to find out. And with no gravity, humans would have to get used to having a lower bone density, kind of like birds have. That means we'd probably be weaker than our old Earth human selves and have some slightly odd physical things going on. Gravity is essential for our balance, and mobility is one of the key factors for human survival. So, without gravity, we'd most likely have exoskeleton suits for walking and running, or taking out the trash. Now, nothing like this is going to happen for a very long time. They're still brainstorming how to bring someone into this world, or out of this world. Technically speaking, outer space is considered to be 62 miles above sea level from any continent on the world. Beyond that, endless possibilities.
The ocean is turning red hot. You try to get closer for a better look, but you start feeling the air getting hotter and hotter, like reaching into an oven. And the sand is so hot that your rubber slippers start melting. The ocean's somehow turned into steamy, hot, gooey lava. You start running inland and see a frenzy of people running wild. See, in reality, lava is made of molten rocks from below the Earth's surface. Deep inside our planet, like the distance between New York and Philadelphia deep, the underground heat from the core melts rocks the same way the sun melts ice cream. When these rocks melt, their temperatures can reach around 2200 degrees Fahrenheit. But don't worry, that only happens really deep under the ground, and only in some specific areas, mostly around the Atlantic Ocean. And it only pops out of the ground when there's so much pressure that it flows up to the surface as a gooey orange super hot liquid called lava that usually erupts through a volcano's neck. But somehow, the entire ocean is made of lava now. And although from a really far away distance, it looks pretty cool to look at, it's really dangerous. First of all, say goodbye to the beautiful blue waves and the ocean currents. Unlike water, lava is thicker, closer to creamy peanut butter in texture, so the wind can't move it around like it used to. But that also means that nothing can sink or swim in it. So even if some ocean creatures could withstand the super high temperatures of lava, they won't be able to live inside of it. They'll either be submerged or float on the surface instead, depending on their density. So, all our marine friends and other creatures that used to call the ocean home will need to find another body of water to live in if they want to survive. Actually, the only animals on this planet that could possibly survive the heat of lava would be the tardigrades. These cute microscopic creatures can survive in any extreme environment on this planet. From frozen icy glaciers to hot and fiery volcanoes. They can even survive in outer space under the cosmic rays. You run away from the beach along with everyone else nearby. The atmosphere is getting thicker and it's not easy to see around you. You think to yourself, I should have stayed home. But home isn't exactly safe either. The heat radiating from all the lava alone would be intolerable for miles. So no more houses by the sea and beach resorts. You're gonna want to make sure you live as far away from the ocean as possible. Most of the coastal cities would become instantly uninhabitable, especially areas touching the ocean with more than one side. Places like Florida, California, and Central America would become mostly unbearable to live in. And that's not to mention island life. Most islands would be so hot that no animal or plant could survive. 97% of the planet was made up of ocean water, and it now all turned to lava. No place on Earth can hold snow anymore, as the planet would look like a glowing orange lava ball. Temperatures would rise so much that the furthest place from the shores and even the highest peaks will still feel like the hottest day in a desert. As you keep running away from the ocean, you realize that maybe you're dreaming, but you look at your skin and see so much redness. Even if you run for miles, the heat will still catch up to you. All the offshore oil rigs and ships in the middle of the oceans will face plenty of problems too. Their metallic composition would simply glow red and melt instantly when in contact with hot lava. And even if it doesn't melt, you better hope nobody happens to be on it. But in any event like that, they would have evacuated everyone. Meanwhile, at the North and South Poles, where the planet is at its coldest, all the ice that was covering the ocean is instantly melting in contact with the lava. It would then cool down and solidify into rocky black landmasses called igneous rocks that are often glassy in texture. The moment the hot lava cools down, huge clouds of acidic steam and gases get released into the air, covering the sky. Scientists call those lays, which is a combination of the words lava and haze. Kinda like when you exit the shower and all the heat comes in contact with the cold outside air, creating a haze, except this one would cover the whole North and South Poles, and it would be super toxic. It sometimes even contains tiny glass particles that are extremely hazardous. And this laze can travel around the world with strong enough wind and cover almost the entire northern hemisphere. It could also cover the southern part of New Zealand, Argentina, South Africa, and Australia. Flying an airplane through this gas wouldn't be the best idea. The heat alone emitted from the lava would be enough to cause major damage to the exterior and affect the airplane's hardware. It's a good thing you found your trusty oxygen container. The air is barely breathable at this point. You make your way to your car and drive away as fast as you can. But even your car's taken some damage. You drive out to the countryside, where the atmosphere hasn't been affected by the lava yet. But even all the way out here, the temperature is changing. The river you used to see on your weekly hikes is drying up. The plants around you are losing their green lush. The animals around have migrated to a different place. Rivers flowing into the ocean would simply create mounds of glassy igneous rocks upon contact, permanently creating natural dams. The rest of the water inland, like in ponds and lakes, would eventually evaporate over time. With the rise in temperatures and no rainfall, it would be the end of water on the planet as we know it. The huge mass of ocean water plays a major role in creating clouds and rainfall. Without water in the atmosphere, the sun's heat would add to the lavas. The world would be a huge barren wasteland. The nights would be hot and the days even hotter.
Hop on the bright side of life together with our brand new tees, hoodies, and more. Click the link to pick your choice.
Still, lava cools down eventually in contact with the cool air. So soon enough, the surface would start forming a thin layer of black crust that would gradually thicken over the years. The thicker the lava, the longer it takes to completely cool down on the inside. It would still be super hot though, but at least if you touch it, you won't be directly touching the burning lava. That's actually how many islands were formed, like the Hawaiian Islands, for example. They're fully formed by lava erupting from below the ocean that dried over hundreds of thousands of years. It accumulated layers over layers of solidified lava from below the ocean until it rose above the surface, forming islands and even mountains. As we speak, a new landmass in Hawaii is being formed by an active volcano. Scientists expect it to be a new fully formed island in about 10,000 years. So now, the view that used to be the blue ocean turned into steamy glowing orange slime that will in turn quickly transform into a solid black wasteland. But don't think you can easily walk over that ocean. It could take hundreds of years for it to fully cool down and turn into solid rock. Until then, walking on that dried lava crust would be similar to walking on a frozen lake, except that in this case, one misstep would cause you to fall into boiling hot lava instead of ice-cold water. Some regions would even take thousands of years to fully solidify. The Mariana Trench, the deepest region of the ocean, is about a whopping 43,000 feet deep. It would actually take at least 5,000 years for that much lava to completely cool down. There are many planets out there that are so-called lava planets. A recently discovered planet, K2-141b, has magma oceans, supersonic winds up to 3,000 miles per hour, and even rocky rains. That's right, the planet is so hot that it vaporizes rocks and rains them back down. Keep in mind that this planet is much closer to the sun than our planet is. Maybe their oceans once turned into lava overnight.